This is TWiT.
So guys, guess what we got to do today? We get to touch the Surface Hub 2.
Ooh. Yeah, so yeah, and it was touching.
It was.
I asked the gentleman in the room if they could turn around for a moment so I could have that kind of privately, but we didn't talk about this. So no. What did you?
So we had Paul and I both went into 2 separate sessions to see this, so we weren't there together.
Yep.
But they brought us into a secret room on the show floor, and they let us see the 2 different models that they're going to have. You know, the Surface Hub 2S, which comes out next year, and then the 2X, which is just the exact same hardware as the 2S, but you switch out the computing cartridges in the back. So they have both of them there. And the 2X, the one coming in 2020, is the one that you can rotate. You saw that in the keynote where they rotated it. So we get to rotate it.
Right.
Which was pretty interesting.
The first thing I asked, because I just had to know, I saw the demo they had. I didn't see it live, but I saw a recording of the demo they did during a session, or maybe it was on stage during the keynote. But I thought, this is fake. This is obviously fake. And so I said, look, is this demoware? Is this some kind of fake, canned demo, or is this actual running code? And they said, no, it's actual running code, and you're going to get to touch it and run the apps and do this stuff. And my mindset sort of started to change, because I sort of figured they're not able to do that. They can ship the hardware with the old software.
Right. Relatively
easy. Switch hardware, cartridge upgrade, whatever that's going to cost, we don't know, and give you that full experience with the tiling and the dynamic rotation and so forth. But now that I've seen it,
yeah.
Brad and I talked about this earlier in the First Ring Daily, and at the risk of just repeating myself, I mean, it was really incredible.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's so light. They had it on the wheeled cart that they showed it on. You could push it with one hand. I rotated it with one hand. I'm like, it's actually really light.
I did it with one finger.
Yeah. I asked them if I could do the lapability test, and they said no.
Yeah.
I was a little disappointed, but then I asked, can we get review units? And they're like, are you a hardware reviewer? And I said, I am now.
Yeah.
But it was really, really nice. And I think they're going to sell a lot of those.
Yeah, so in the same sense, I do too, by the way. In the same sense that Microsoft Search in some ways is the biggest news from the show, in my opinion, and I think in your opinion as well. I think the big bucket, the big thing on Surface Hub, aside from the obvious stuff, right? The spinning and the tiling is obviously incredible. Yeah. But just from a kind of a wider view of the product and what the point of it is, there's 2 things that really stand out. One is the ability for multiple users to log into the device at the same time. It's up to 16 people locally, and I didn't get a number for remotely, but some number of people remotely. All of them can individually sign into different apps that are running at the same time on the same computer. And so as you move back and forth between them, Bob might be signed in this app, and Cindy's over here in this app. If you have the permissions, which is one of those things Microsoft's really good about, you can copy and paste or drag and drop content between those apps and kind of enhance the collaboration situation. The other one is just the mobility of it, right? I had used the comparison of the original Surface Hub, which was also in the room. It's mobile, mobile-ish, in the sense that it's on a stand and it's really heavy. If you're strong and have a couple of guys, you can move it to another room, and it's sort of like towing a boat with a truck. But the new Surface Hub is actually mobile, right? It's any single person could easily move this thing around, and it kind of opens up the opportunity for collaboration. You don't have to be in a special room. Like if you have a desktop computer, you have to be in that room to use it. This thing you can move around almost like a laptop. You wouldn't use it moving it around, but you can actually move it as needed. And there's some interesting scenarios, I think, possibly for education, but also for offices where maybe they don't have a discrete meeting space and they want to be able to have it ad hoc wherever.
Yeah. It was really thin. It looked better than I actually thought it would, even though we saw pictures of it in the summer. I'm like, oh, it's never going to really look like that, right? But it does. It looks just like those pictures we saw back in June or so.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So what we couldn't do is actually touch the 2X, the one that's coming in 2020.
Oh,
they let you. I mean, they let us do very limited things.
I touched it quite a bit, Mary Jo.
Did you?
Let me show you on this bottle of water where I touched it. No,
I'm okay.
No, I used it.
You did?
Yeah.
Because what we were trying to do, of course, is sneak a peek at what the operating system showed up as when you looked at.
I didn't do that.
Yeah, we tried that. That didn't work. But they were like, "Hey, what are you doing?" No.
So they referred to. I was talking to somebody off to the side earlier about that. There are kind of different names for these things.
Right.
not just he, there were several people, they repeatedly referred to the software as HubOS, which may just be a shorthand way of describing what the thing is. I'm not sure if that's the actual name.
Yeah. I mean, it's Windows 10.
It's obviously a variant of Windows 10. It looks very familiar. I kind of like the taskbar has the reduced set of icons are in the middle, a little bit like the Mac.
Right.
And I have to say, there was something about that look that I thought was pretty nice.
Yeah. I think it's going to be really, really exciting. It's coming out, so the hardware is coming out Q2 next year.
Yep.
And then the cartridge to upgrade your software experience, you can do the tiling and the rotation, is coming out sometime in 2020 if they stick with that plan.
So there are questions, right, around the cost of that upgrade.
Yeah, we don't even know the cost of the device still.
The cost of the the cost of the device itself. Yep. And then the exact timing of that upgrade, of course.
Yep.
There was some interesting little details about it that were only became obvious when you looked at it in person. You'll see a picture of the thing, and it has a big webcam on it, and if you get the X, it has a fingerprint reader.
Yeah,
but those things can actually be in there are USB-C ports around the edges of the screen, so you can kind of position those as you want them, and you might use it in a way that makes sense if it's rotated or not rotated.
Oh, the coolest thing we saw, you probably saw this too, the full-size portrait demo.
Yeah, so that was the one thing that wasn't live code.
That was a video mock-up, but they showed if you had this in portrait mode and you were doing a team meeting, whatever, with somebody, you would see them like life-size right in front of you, which was
literally the person
really cool.
Pretending to talk to the person. It was just a video.
Yeah.
Who was standing next to the device was the same exact size as the person on the screen.
Yeah.
And so you probably saw maybe the top 2/3 of his body. It's really neat. I mean, it's really interesting.
Yeah.
But the other thing we didn't get to play with was what they're calling the tiling mode.
Right.
Where you take two or more of those devices and you put them next to each other, and it becomes a single environment or single display.
Right.
So I don't think that's ready.
No,
I think that was my guess there.
Did they show you the things that it did in the video? Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah. So we saw and got to perform the rotation.
Good.
Which, by the way, is the most seamless, awesome thing. Although they kind of apologized for it.
I know.
There was some implication that this was a little rough, and but there's this really neat thing that happens. It's almost like parallax scrolling, where the content on the screen, which could be windows for applications or whatever, stays still because it remains in the correct orientation. But as the screen rotates, in the background, the wallpaper or whatever's in the background is rotating with the display to be to stay in the right orientation. It's kind of hard to describe, but the taskbar is attached and it kind of goes to the right orientation. It's neat, right? It was. I could almost picture people just rotating the screen arbitrarily just to watch it.
Yeah.
It's kind of just a fun thing to see.